Well, that was weird.
Okay.
The double countdown. But anyway, welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews,
It's the
everybody.
double countdown. Okay.
All right.
All right, you can.
So, welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful evening. Welcome back to MCU Sundays. We are finishing up phase 2 of the MCU with Avengers Age of Ultron. And with me, I got Riot Kitty and the writer C.S. Johnson. How you both doing, ladies?
Hello, doing all right.
All
I'm
right.
good.
All righty. So, before we get started, folks, make sure to smash that like button, or rather, call Veronica on that like button. If you know, you know. So, yeah, Age of Ultron. Did you get it finished, CJ?
Yes, just barely.
Just barely. All righty. So, I got the talking points up. Is my camera frozen, by the way, when I switch over to this thing? Or
No.
I'm still moving? Okay, you guys can see me
Yep,
clearly.
you're good.
Excellent. Good to know. So, the movie begins with kind of a darker sense. I mean, very much in style with Joss Whedon's take on the first Avengers, where it's like, kind of an oh crap moment. And we see Hydra's base, or the last Hydra base, getting smacked on by the Avengers. And we see the twins right off. I mean, they don't show their powers, but they show them, Pietro and Wanda. They were teased in the Captain America, what was it, Winter Soldier, I believe. And so what did you guys think of the tease when you saw the tease?
For the tease, I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Marketing for this movie was really, really hype.
Oh, yes, the marketing. They had the best freaking trailers for this film. I mean,
I was like dancing to like the "There's Just Strings on Me" song or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that was great.
We lost CJ.
That was great. Even like in my middle school, like not big on superheroes, people were talking about that.
Yep. Well, CJ will be back, folks, so just be patient.
Okay.
But yeah, when I saw the trailer, it's like, I'm going to show you something beautiful. Millions of people screaming for mercy. And you see this hand just flexing in molten steel. And it's like, damn, dude. Okay. I'm getting hyped. At first, when I heard that James Spader, right? Yeah. Was going to be doing the voice for Ultron, I'm like, not really sure about this, but I'm willing to give it a chance. And then they do the scene that is specific to the trailer, not in the movie. And you see that moment in the trailer where he's like, there are no strings on me. And I'm like,
right, sorry about that.
It's okay, it happens. And I'm thinking to myself, that is freaking awesome. I cannot wait for that scene. I want to see that scene. We get the movie, we don't get that scene.
Well, we do get the dialogue, I guess, but not really the scene. Yeah.
We get him singing after the party. There are no strings on me. I mean, I really do love, or a lot of people give this movie a lot of hate, but the Ultron sequences and the fight sequences in this movie are really good.
Mm-hmm.
So when they do the Ultron's or the Avengers sequence where they're all going through the woods and you get the language, it's like, since when has that been an issue? I mean, I'm thinking to myself, language, what the fuck? Because Stark says shit after he bounces off the shield. And it's like, oh, language. But yeah, Ultron, before we go further, I'm going to say hello to the chat. We got Vanya, good to see you. We got
Hello.
Skyhound, good to see you. And yes, it was a badass voice.
Who the fudge is Robert California?
Robert Ultron is basically Robert California, Tom Kane, and Jim Meskimen are better voices. I don't know who Robert California is,
Yeah.
Kristen,
You've
but,
never seen The Office? What's wrong with you?
Wait, I've seen The Office. I
I've
don't
seen
know
The
who
Office. I
Robert
just don't know who
California.
Robert California is.
He's the guy who replaced Michael Scott in season 8 for a bit. So
No, well, I'd never got that far. I mean,
Yeah.
to be completely
I've
honest,
watched
most people
scattered
drop
episodes.
off. Most people drop off after season 7. To be fair, so
I dropped off after season 1 because I only watched a few episodes, and I'm like, okay, I'm bored.
I think you got to start at like season 2, like
No.
halfway through.
So, as I have been doing in the last few
Diversity Day still makes me smile.
Yeah. As I've been doing in the last few streams, I've been bringing up the skins for the Avengers from the from the Avengers Alliance game that I played years back. And this is the Black Widow one that we have. Because they had the Age of Ultron arc. They got up to 2016 and the game ended. I believe the last thing they did was the Fear Itself arc, which doesn't take place in the MCU because that would have been way too ambitious for them, to be completely honest. And it also had nothing to do with the Infinity Saga. However, if
that was like wasn't it Green Lantern? Is that Fear Itself?
DC.
No.
No,
But,
okay, ignore me. Ignore me. I just said something stupid.
The Fear Itself arc is the brother of Odin comes to Earth trying to sow fear by spreading or by dropping hammers in Earth, hammers that corrupt some of the heroes, which is
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's also known as the Serpent arc. And
that does sound like something like Green Lantern would do.
Well, probably would, because the Fear Itself arc is also, they did a Fear Itself thing in DC with the Yellow Lanterns. So we got Black Widow here from the game, her AOU outfit, Captain America's AOU outfit, which is actually upgraded from his blue Steve Rogers outfit with the red and white in the midriff here. We got Hawkeye for his final assault on Sokovia with the small little battle skirt there. We got AOU Hulk with the spandex. We got Iron Man with his armor, which also later upgraded into the Hulkbuster armor, as we all know and saw and loved. We got Pietro, who starts giving them trouble in the beginning of the movie. Didn't see that coming. Honestly, I didn't. And then we got Wanda. So what do you guys think of the art so far?
Pietro's hair looks a little weird, but yeah, I like Wanda's art. That's cool.
Yeah, the hair on Pietro was a little bit odd. Although he did look better it does look better in the film. And then we got
and also, I don't know why, but like it seems like it looks like it's stylized to look kind of like Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I kept looking at his hair and I'm like, oh, it looks like that new movie, like the Barbie movie Ken hair.
Yeah.
Only like on a bad day.
Oh my god, yeah.
Oh my god. So then we get Ultron. I mean, they actually got his design they actually had Ultron earlier in the game, which was the original comic look, and then they revamped it for the Age of Ultron arc, or the Spec Ops, and then they also gave Vision an updated look, which was from the movie. So yeah, these are the scores or skins, and we'll bring them up later on as the stream goes on. So, what did you guys think about the assault on Sokovia? Uh, Specifically, the capturing of Strucker. I mean, Captain America just kicking him with a shield, but also Tony's vision where he sees the Avengers dead. What was your thoughts on that? We'll start with Riot first.
Okay, well, I guess like backtracking a little bit through.
Or go through the whole thing if you want to.
Well, so honestly, like this was like at a point, what was this, 2015? I'm pretty sure.
I do believe so. Yes.
Yep, 2015. So at this point, I actually knew some of Marvel's stuff, so I was getting into. I think it was Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was out then, but. And then like I also got into X-Men, so that's like my favorite part of the MCU. And so I was honestly really excited to see Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch in here. And even though I kind of like really wanted Polaris in there too, like as a cute murderous family dynamic, but as like an actual character, not just like a cameo. So like I kind of like how Wanda is in the beginning of the movie. She's very quiet and she doesn't really say anything. And she's definitely a little creepy girl. she just
Oh yeah.
She just like waves around like a Tony, and then she even like smiles at the vision of like
yeah, when
being
he's about to
destroyed
take
and like Avengers being dead. So yeah, I'm just like, oh, that's adorable.
I mean, she really does have that more darker personality. She's fully in the Hydra camp at that point, or well, in the Hydra team.
Well, she in the comics she frequently flips from like good to evil.
Oh yeah,
so.
she does.
Mm-hmm.
She's like caused genocide, mass murder.
Oh yeah.
She basically
she's
is
also
responsible
started
for
a
the
family
House
and a
of M.
boyfriend or two.
Yeah, Vision.
There's even like Nightcrawler and X-Men Evolution.
She's
not Evolution. Wolverine and the X-Men.
She's an automatophile, I believe the term is.
Sex doll collector.
No, she likes getting it on with robots. Automatophile, I think is the proper term for it. But I also do like the Iron Legion in this, where they bring the Iron Legion in, and it does a good setup for the Ultron mask, because one of them gets pelted with an acid bottle. Oh, we got thunder outside.
It is. And like for Tony's vision, that was like really, really dark. And I guess it's kind of like, like we already saw this a bit in Iron Man 3, but this Tony, the MCU Tony, is a bit of a control freak. He wants to like prepare for every possibility and stuff. And he kind of, and like he's been off that for a while. And then this vision, like this, that looks very, very real. Just withdraws him right back into that state of mind, which leads him to create Ultron. So, honestly, it was really, really quick in the movie, but
yeah. And also, if you pay attention to the way that Cap's shield is cracked and broken, or when later on in the film, to jump ahead just a tiny bit, when Wanda rips out Ultron's heart, the way that his armor breaks is the same crack pattern.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, I do like how they have her kind of moving really quickly, where she kind of just moves like really surreally fast. Because after she blasts Cap, and the way that she moves really quick backward out of the room, and then when she gets up behind Tony, moves, and then gets right out of scene really quickly. That's very reminiscent to the movie Merlin. Have you guys seen that with Sam Neill?
Nope.
It was a kind of a 2-part special movie on, I think it was either ABC or CBS. But yeah, they did that very much when a magical being was around to show how they could move really surreal like. And I thought that was a really good touch with how they did it.
Yeah,
But
they
also,
really did a good job making her creepy. So yeah.
yeah. And then
And
you also
I think that plays into the uncertainty of the character, and it reflects ultimately like her inability to keep her her lines drawn, more or less. So
yeah.
Mhm.
And then you also have that guy that it's like, Hestraka, it's the Avengers. And it's like, can we hold them? They're the Avengers. And then Star comes in,
Yeah.
guys, stop. Let's talk this through. And then he blasts them all, and he's like, that was a good talk. No, it wasn't. I mean,
It's like, yeah, we're good.
you hear this guy bitching the entire time. It's the Avengers. And I'm thinking to myself, huh. I mean, this guy has the right idea. He knows they're screwed, but it's like, I'm thinking to myself, it's like, why are we even gonna try? Well, it was a good movie, and they did it in segments when it aired. Yes, they did do it in segments. It was a two-part. It was a two-part special movie. However, now the movie is like a 4-hour flick, or a little under 4 hours. But it's a good movie. Then they did that god awful sequel. But anyway,
oh well, my husband actually said today that there's no such thing as a good sequel, and I'm like, Empire Strikes Back, Terminator 2, Spider-Man 2. They want to know your locations are.
Aladdin and the King of Thieves, but that was the third movie.
Yeah, Top Gun, Maverick.
Wait, Peter Pan 2. That was good. That was like awesome.
I've never seen that one.
Hook.
No,
was a sequel
not that one.
that
It's
wasn't-
animated.
Oh yeah.
Animated with Wendy's daughter. I'm like, that is like awesome. That is like perfect.
The Legend of Tarzan, which wasn't a sequel, but it could have been, or it was basically a sequel to the story of Tarzan meeting Jane and whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. So we then get to oops, wrong button. Where is the talking? Oh, it's up in the corner. Duh. So Clint gets hurt because he gets blasted. Now, they actually did, or this was on purpose, what they did in this movie with Jeremy Renner's character, Hawkeye. They wanted to set up that he might die. That he was the one that was keeping them together. He might actually be the one to bite it. And did you guys pick up on that at all when watching this film? That he was more of a central character?
No.
I would say that Hawkeye is a grounding character.
Yeah.
Because, and he's more grounded than Natasha because they're both like the humans that just kind of have these super set of skills. But he has a distinctive advantage over Natasha in that he has children and that he's a father. He has things to lose that she doesn't.
Yeah. And that's also another thing that they did pretty good too. It's like, because when he's talking later on when he's getting healed up by Dr. Cho, she's like, your girlfriend, or not even your girlfriend, will notice the difference. I don't have a girlfriend. That I can't fix. But then later on, it's like, who was that? Girlfriend. But I really do enjoy those little moments because it makes you wonder, what is Clint's background here,
Yeah.
So, and we also get the lullaby with Hulk. I mean, they do this opening scene, the attack or the assault on Sokovia, does a lot of good setup with the Iron Legion, Stark's fear, which pushes this whole movie forward, the lullaby, which is important in the fact that it gets the Hulk to revert back to Banner, which that way he doesn't have to go to sleep or whatever. Now,
I
what did you
really
all
hated
think?
that part. So
What, the lullaby or the entire thing with between Nat and Banner?
the entire thing. So I don't
I
mind the
also,
Me.
lullaby. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
mind the lullaby thing that you can like calm him down and stuff. But it's like I didn't need the romance there. Thanks.
yeah, the romance was, in my opinion, didn't need to happen.
This is probably part of the reason that I just don't like Black Widow as a character. I'm like one of the few people I think on Earth that doesn't. But it's like she's just a piece of convenience for the plot. You know, she doesn't have a whole lot going on her in her own life and her own background. And even the Black Widow movie that came out did nothing really to help that.
That was just a Me
So
Too movement movie, in my
I
opinion.
well, I mean I can understand like you want a good bad guy, sure. You know, but it's also like
They
all right,
took a
you could
good
have done
bad
a lot better
guy.
with this.
They
So
took a good bad guy and ruined a good bad guy for that movie. I'm sorry, folks. Taskmaster is one of my favorite characters in Marvel. You don't, or the only person to ever beat him was basically Deadpool.
oh, okay. Well, yeah, see, and that's how forgettable that movie is. It's like I already
Yeah,
forgot that they did that with Taskmaster. So,
yeah.
I kind of like half that movie, and the other half I don't. So,
Yeah.
I think like I mean, most of the movies in general, they all have really great things about them, like here or there. Um, you know, like I thought even for Black Widow, bringing in the fact that she had a sister, like that would have humanized her a lot more to me. You know, like if she'd even mentioned like that she'd gotten her sister sterilized too, I would have been like, oh man, that's so terrible. You know, but this is like the first thing of humanity. So it's like that you see is that she's basically considers herself to be inhuman. And I'm
Yeah.
like, see, that's fine if but she's still just one person. She has nothing else that's she's designed herself in such a way that she doesn't have any lasting attachments. Adding in the sister there would have been better. So
Yep.
just saying.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, this movie, it does a good job at giving a little bit of background to her, which the actress who plays the leader of the Red Room, I remember her from only one movie, and that was An American Werewolf in Paris. She was the French chick that the main character fell in love with that was also a werewolf. So it's like, wow, she's aged. That's all I remember seeing or saying. And it's like when, or but earlier in this film,
Yeah, sorry.
when she says,
I got you off on that tangent because it's like
"It's
it set
okay,
everything up very
it happens."
nicely and stuff, but the lullaby is fine. I didn't need the romance thing. You could
Yeah,
share infertility stories with the Hulk very easily without a romance attached to it. So
exactly. I mean, they both have the trauma of
yeah.
what's wrong with each other. I mean,
I mean,
they're both
honestly,
fucked up.
I thought it was a pretty unique pairing. So
True, but it's like
I don't really mind it. I really don't. It's not like,
he's
oh yeah, oh my god, ship.
he's
But yeah, I mean, like I'm like, yeah, I actually kind of like them. So
it's
fair.
it's okay, but it's like it as who said it? It was way out of left field, basically.
Well, like she had to have a romantic entanglement, and that's kind of what I mean. Is like she's just kind of like a piece of plot convenience. Is like it would have been more. It would have been made sense more if she'd been shipped with Cap.
Yeah,
You know, especially with the whole Russian spy background and the USSR and the Cold War and Bucky's you know interlude last movie. It would have made more sense at least to me.
I mean, I feel like it
yeah.
started in like the Avengers, that whole plot line. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, funny you should mention that. There was a parody made of a certain adult industry, shall we say, for the Avengers movie. And somebody intercut the Hulk whipping around to look at Cap when he says "and Hulk," and it shows Widow looking up at the portal from Battle of New York, and then she's like, and then it just shows Hulk going to Pound Town on her. And I'm like, oh my god, man, what the fuck happened? And I'm thinking to myself, somebody seriously needs
Oh, okay. So what you're
to
saying is
shop.
that this romance was kind of forced in because of fetish culture. That's wonderful to hear.
I mean, I
Uh-oh.
wouldn't doubt it because considering Joss Whedon did this movie, um, and we all know the kind of pervert that Joss Whedon is, I wouldn't put it past him. I honestly wouldn't.
Maybe he and Justin Roiland can do a show together now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that he would get along with Axel Braun. But getting back to it, the Stark Sphere scene where you see the Leviathan that was from the Battle of New York just come to life, and it's like, oh my god, what the hell is going on? That was actually a pretty good scene. And you see that he snaps out of it, and it's like, well, now what is he going to do? He sticks out his hand, he grabs the scepter, and okay, we're on the way back. And we're going to skip the ride back. We're going to Avengers Mansion, where they're planning a party, or not mansion, but Avengers Tower, and they're planning a party, and they also want to do the cracking the AI, where Jarvis is trying to study the scepter. And then you see this big, or they show Jarvis's main or matrix, and then they use Tony uses one of his little card thingies to show the Mind Stones matrix. What did you guys think about that whole scene where they're trying to crack AI and they're like, what, or you want to try to go for AI and you don't want to tell the team? You're right, because I don't want to hear the man was not meant to meddle medley. I see a suit of armor around the world. Because what Riot said was right. This is a man who has seen the worst that's coming. He's a He's a futurist. He wants to make sure the Earth is prepared for what is coming.
Yep.
And if that means stepping on a few toes, stepping on a few freedoms, so be it. Which comes to a head in phase 3. But I really do like. He's like, sounds like a pretty cold world, Tony. I've seen colder. Peace in our time. And we
I
then
actually
see
really
that.
like that line because it's got a very Neville Chamberlain sort of ring to it, peace for our
Mhm.
time, and I was just like, yep, that was good.
And it's a very important line that's echoed throughout the movie. I saw so much layers and elements in, well, highlight, damn thing, there we go, in this movie that it kept me going. I really love this. It's hard not to love this movie. A lot of people give it a lot of shit, and I still don't understand it.
I was going to actually ask why people don't like this movie. I get that, like, the Age of Ultron part is kind of misleading.
Yeah.
I guess, like, I guess it's like Ultron, as the way he's portrayed, is what I've heard. I guess, like, because he's kind of more egotistical, maybe, and less like cold calculating robot that he is usually.
Yeah.
Well, I actually really like that aspect of him. I mean, like this is actually one of my favorite films because there is so much biblical language that they use with it.
Oh yeah.
I don't think the average person would catch it. But the idea of, like, even like the drill in the church and the center of the city where everybody's equal distance from God. And I mean, everybody technically is equal distance from God in the sense that you're one breath away from death. And
Yep.
I mean, like the idea of like become like his like sort of birth with the blue glowish ball thing is and
blue balls.
well, you
she
can
went
see
there
that
this time, folks.
he's well, like his birth is kind of like he's like the first like person that he like latches onto is like Tony, and this idea of being created in the image of man, and then man rebelling against its maker is
Yeah.
very biblical. And the fact that he does tend to like Vision says later, he says he hates Tony the most. it's
Hmm.
it's and but he still like exudes all of his traits in many ways, you know. The parallels
Very
there are
much.
really, yeah, the parallels are very, very layered.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he hates him so much that he also hates that he's like him,
right.
but he's
Yeah,
willing to use it.
it's kind of like almost like Satan and God or something in that sense as well.
Well, when Vision is
But
like created and stuff, like he doesn't really have a name for himself, and he says, I am," and that's actually what God says. You know, when Moses is talking to him in the burning bush in the book of Exodus, you know, the bush is both living and burning at the same time, and um, he says, you know, go free my people, Moses. And Moses says, I can't do that, you know, and
Yeah.
he gives all these reasons and stuff. And then he's like, well, who am I say is going to send me? And you say, I'm the God of your fathers. I am who I am.
Hmm.
That's the way it's written in the Bible. And I was, and then, I mean, like at that point I was like, okay, I don't like this anymore. But
Yeah. So, also, if you paid attention to the opening battle scene, you also do see that the robots were already being created, the Ultron robots, which are because when Stark gets right in there, they actually start walking closer up to one of the Ultron drones, and then he looks off and he sees a bunch of other drones already being built, but they haven't, or they deep sixed the data, they got rid of it so that they couldn't figure out what was going on. But they were knocking on artificial intelligence's door. And
yeah,
I
well, that's
really,
another parallel. That's kind of like the idea of like Satan convincing the angels to go to war with the Maker too. So
Mhm.
yep.
And there's, or a lot of people who know the comics know this, but those who are just normies don't. Tony Stark in the comics did not create Ultron.
Yep.
Hank Pym, Ant-Man, created Ultron. However,
And he's another control freak. No.
well, actually, you're right. He is. Ant-Man was very much a control freak.
Yep.
And an alcoholic, and very abusive in the comics. But he also got a lid on all this shit. But
the one thing Tony didn't get.
Yeah, he
Right.
got his act together.
yeah, but we haven't seen Hank Pym yet in the MCU. It also does sort of make more sense that Stark would be the one to want to create something this crazy, you know? And I really do like how when they fail for the next 3 days, because they have it for 3 days, the scepter, to tinker with it and try to figure out and go for artificial intelligence, and they fail
More
until they leave
biblical
the room.
allegory.
Yep. And when they leave the room, integration successful, and he wakes up. And it's like, what is this? What is this, please? I mean, he is completely, or Ultron is completely confused. He's like, where's your body? I'm a program. I'm without form. I love this battle, or this, not battle.
I'm an orange ball and you are a blue ball. No.
What is your obsession with balls, Riot?
I will say this is more of a parallel to Paradise
cat,
Lost than the Bible
obviously.
at this point, because like when Eve is created, she has a similar sort of beginning where she wakes up by herself and she only has like the reflection pole to like kind of figure out what and who she is. So it's not biblical there, but it's still biblical fan fiction.
Yeah. And I also like how he's like, okay, I need to have a nice talk. I'm unable to access the mainframe. We're having a nice chat. So I'm a global peacekeeping initiative to protect, or to serve the event. They can't. No. He freaking went on the internet, folks, for 10 seconds and already decided Earth is fucking doomed because humanity is the problem.
Well, I mean, that kind of is true.
He's not exactly wrong. We are a
Right.
very violent species, and we have only progressed to very destructive means.
Well, I also think like nuance takes time to develop, in many aspects.
I think
Because
he's more like the temperament of a newborn kid, but with the mind of an adult. It's
yeah,
very weird. Like he can comprehend all this stuff, he can't process it.
Yeah.
So then it's like throwing a temper tantrum.
In a way, it's more akin to a psychotic break.
Yeah,
right.
kind of that too. But
Yeah, it's like logically you are fully developed, but emotionally and
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, and socially and everything you are not. So
And considering he is, well, ageless, an ageless amount of years as old as the Big Bang, because the Infinity Stones are as old as the Big Bang, the mind inside of the Infinity Stones, well, is responsible for the integration of Ultron. So Ultron was somewhat in there, however, no memory whatsoever of where he came from, which is also kind of interesting. But then he attacks Jarvis, as we all see, and it's like, I'm here to help. And then he just starts blasting freaking Jarvis. And these things, or this is just the virtual display of these two minds going at it. And I'm like, but it's just a virtual mind right now. So I guess it's great for the visual, but it also doesn't make sense. So then we get to the party, and we see the flirting between Nat and Banner, which is fine. We see War Machine totally emasculated because his tails are not as good as everybody else's. We
well,
see
yeah,
the,
I think they're just like, okay, cool. Like, I mean, they fought alien warships and whatever.
yeah, it's like we fought fucking aliens, and you're a glorified delivery boy with tanks. Okay, that's the whole story. Yeah, it's a War Machine story. Well, then it's very impressive. I mean, quality save. And then they
I would say
have,
for what
or
it's worth, like that's a good like starting point for some of the hubris that comes with the multiverse saga.
oh
Because
yeah,
like people are so removed from it. I bet you they would kill for a War Machine movie to do well then right now.
yeah, and honestly, it would be a great movie to have a good War Machine movie. I mean, if they didn't, or if they weren't polluted with identity politics right now, though. But one of the things I do like is, or in this scene, was the Stan Lee cameo, where remember Cap can't get drunk. He hasn't, or because of his super soldier serum. So, well, Thor decides to bring something from Asgard, which is a very, very
It's
potent,
like this was brewed for 1,000 years. This was
or
aged
this
for a
was
thousand years.
fermented aged for 1,000 years in Brunhild's fleet. It's not meant for mortal men. So was Omaha Beach, Blondie. Stop trying to scare us. Come on. And then you see what happens.
And then he cuts to like Stanley's
Excelsior.
like totally blazed.
And then when he walks by, you see the other two veterans are just standing there pretty much dead. Well, not dead, but holy crap. It's like, yeah, you guys couldn't handle your liquor. But hey, good war stories because you're buddies with Cap, you know? But I do love Stanley. He's like, Excelsior. Eureka, you know?
I thought it was a
And
nice way to kind of add in the line because I know that's what he's like famous for saying.
yep. And then we get the whole lifting the hammer play scene. Now, they did a retcon for in the future when they were doing their apology tour or explanation tour for Endgame. Cap was always able to lift the hammer, and he didn't want to let Thor know because he actually noticed Thor's reaction when he almost lifted it, so he let Thor down gently. That's bullshit. He tried lifting it, however, it nudged a little bit, as we all see, but he couldn't. You see him truly flexing with that thing, trying to lift it. It doesn't work.
I was gonna say I think it's a stupid retcon because like I mean in Endgame he was I knew it right or something like
Yep.
that and then like there's still one more Captain America movie here where and you see Cap going, fighting the
Oh yeah,
Nazis and then fighting the secret government to spy invasion people things.
and then fighting his own team.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like sometimes it takes more courage to stand up to your friends than it is to your enemies or to the people that you supposedly support.
Exactly.
So,
And not
I mean,
only
I
that,
think that adds to it. Yes.
and not only that, he's complaining even later in the film that he couldn't lift the hammer because they're trying their best to lift it in this scene, and then later him, Tony, and Thor are like, it's different rules for us. But if you put the hammer in an elevator, it would still go up. Elevator's not worthy. And these, I mean, it's fun on all, but it's like he wouldn't be making this argument if he had been able to lift the hammer. So So it's like, yeah, your guys' retcon, off-screen retcon doesn't make sense because he wasn't able to lift it. Yeah, the way that I always speculated it was because I've always seen Mjolnir as a semi-sentient character in itself due to Odin's decree. And once it basically, or once you grab the hilt of the hammer, that's Mjolnir is starting to read you, whether or not you are worthy. Well, it kind of is like, oh, okay, that's Thor. Oh, shit, no, you're not Thor. And that's what, or it is basically like that. And so it's like, yeah, you're not worthy yet. And then you see freaking Stark. I will be reinstituting Prima Nocta. And I'm like, only he would say that, but does he truly know what it was?
I don't even know what it is.
Well, to give you the background,
See, you would know what it is if you watched The Office.
You would also know what it is if you've seen Braveheart.
Braveheart. Yeah, I know.
Prima Nocta is Latin for first night. It is when nobles would bless a marriage by the noble taking a bride into, or the person's bride into their bed. Basically, the noble gets to deflower your bride.
So basically, someone else gets to smash your bride as a blessing.
Yes, and that was a thing, it was.
Isn't history grand?
It sounds like a freaking rom-com plot.
Believe me, it was not seen as that by the people who had to live under it.
No.
It was a much more serious thing. It was my divine right because they all thought that they were royal or noble by God's edict in history. So it's like it was my divine right to be able to do this. Well, they probably thought that. However, they would never say it out loud because, well, smite be, But then,
you can only hope.
Yeah, we then get that lovely little thing. It's like, whoever has Thor's fingerprints, well, yeah, that's a very good theory. I have a better one. You're all not worthy. And that's when Ultron has already built his body up from the cannibalized pieces of the of the Iron Legion. And he just comes in and it's like, how could you be worthy? You're all killers.
Okay, can I say?
Go ahead.
The entire party sequence and like the opening scene, like I think it really, really cements the Avengers as a team.
Oh yeah.
They bonded. They now work together way better, like that kind of a thing. Like they plan, they strategize. Like it's just like they're really, really officially a team now. So it's really cool to see that, like just them chilling as well.
And also, Helen Cho was also there because she kind of like was Thor's +1 because Jane wasn't there. She also was crushing on Thor. But I do like how he totally makes this whole point. And when Stark tries calling to Jarvis and rebooting the Legionnaire, if you notice that Ultron is going like this, that's because he's literally fighting off Tony's reboot attempt. It's literally kind of like a small headache or a small attack on him. which is pretty interesting. It's a nice little detail that people wouldn't probably get unless you were really paying attention.
Yeah, I didn't get that either. I thought he was just like, I thought he was just covering his head because of the headlights.
Yeah.
Like the lights in the room. He's like,
I
oh my
heard this
god, light!
noise.
What is this?
It's like I
Just
heard this
vision.
noise, and it's also coincides with we got a buggy suit reboot, you know. Except that Jarvis is not responding because Jarvis is, well, supposedly
Underground.
dead.
He's like
At this
AI
point.
sushi. Right now.
Yeah. And it's like, or who sent you? And then he plays what Tony said. I see a suit of armor around the world. Ultron. And everybody's like, what? In the flesh. Well, not yet. Not this chrysalis. Now, folks, I'm going to be completely honest. When he said chrysalis, I thought he said Christmas. I'm a lie. I just thought he said Christmas. It's like, not this Christmas. And I'm like, is it near Christmas? I'm confused.
I guess it kind of works,
Yeah.
you know. It's just like this ain't my Christmas. I'm gonna get it on my own Christmas.
And I really do.
I want.
And then I really do love his entire justification. He's like, but I'm ready. I'm on mission. What mission? Peace in our time. And that's when we get the whole freaking hell breaking loose. Now, for those of you who don't know, in the comics, Hawkeye does take up the mantle of Captain America for a small bit of time, because after Captain America is killed by Sharon Carter, Sharon Carter actually kills Captain America because she's under a spell from Red Skull during the first Civil War arc, I believe. But yeah, Hawkeye, or they're like, nobody's been able to throw the shield quite like Cap. Well, Hawkeye's like, throws it in a perfect arc and catches it, and he's like, yeah, you just got to know. Or I've seen him enough times where it's natural to me now. And I'm thinking to myself, show off. But you also see him in this film
That's a nice
toss
callback to
the
the
shield
comics.
to
then.
Cap. Say what?
Oh, it's like a nice callback to the comics then.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
It really is. It's like Cap, and he throws it, and then Cap just catches it and then whips it out another Legionnaire. You also see the Legionnaire about to attack Helen Cho, but then you see Ultron like, and that one backs off. Also, what we don't see is Hill. Agent Hill is there at the party. She was did a nice little testosterone joke with Thor and Tony because they were comparing their girlfriends. And it's like, but Jane is better. It's like, oh, shut up. Well, you just stop. But anyway,
It's Pepper.
the scene with when they're all trying to get the hell away from the Legionnaires, Banner is trying to crawl over the bar, and so Natasha pulls him over. He gets a face full of boobage, and it's like, and I'm thinking to myself,
Joss Whedon shot.
yeah, that's your Joss Whedon. That's definitely your Joss Whedon shot. And it's like, sorry, don't turn green. I won't. It's like, yeah, but I bet you want him to.
There's been many shots like it in many, many movies.
Yeah. And many, many shows. I mean, he didn't shy away from
I know,
sexual
like,
stuff.
when he did the...
Well, no, I mean, not
the
even
first
Joss
cut of-
Whedon.
Yeah.
A lot of
Well,
movies.
Go ahead, CS.
I was saying, I know in the, when he took over for the
Justice League.
Justice League movie, that actually was a scene that he added with the Flash doing it for one woman, and she didn't like it.
Yeah. Where he accidentally lands on her and then zips up really quick. It's
Yeah.
like, really? I mean, Joss, he's a skilled director. However, his inappropriate sneak-ins like that are just, it's like, I mean, seriously, man. And then, years later, we have Scarlett Johansson whining and bitching about sexism, and it's like, did you complain at the time when Joss Whedon told Mark Ruffalo to put his face between your boobs and basically get a motorboat? I mean, just saying, man. But
Well, I will say like manners tend to evolve as the times change, and that's why like time is such an important context in which we judge these things. Like you
now,
wouldn't make American Pie these days.
oh,
So,
definitely not. But
yeah.
but definitely with that, it's like, oh my god, dude. At first, it was kind of, it's like, eh, nice shot. But then thinking about it, knowing what Joss Whedon is all about and whatnot, I'm thinking to myself, I say whatnot way too many times. But
I think you got it from me.
probably. But now I just think it's like, that's definitely Joss Whedon's formula. Add a little bit of perversion in here and there.
I don't really care. I mean, I've seen so many shonen, so I'm like, I really don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
bro, there's
I mean, I grew up in the 90s.
there's so much fan service. It's just fan service at the end of the day. It's like here's a side shot of Scarlett Johansson's tits.
Yeah. And
So,
and I really do. Or so then after everybody or the Legionnaires are busted up, and he's like, "That was dramatic." I mean, you all, or I know you mean well. You just didn't think it through. You want the world, or you want to protect the world, but you don't want it to change. How is humanity saved if it's not allowed to evolve? And then picking up the Legionnaires, like with these, crushes the face and then throws it forward. These puppets. And he tells them there's only one path to peace: the Avengers' extinction. Well, also there was the scene where that Legionnaire grabs the scepter. I'm sorry, that was terrible CGI. Where that thing just it was the worst CGI I have ever seen in any Marvel film. Quite literally, because it just grabs and just goes, and it's like, that looked totally unfinished, and why didn't you guys go back to finish it? So what did you all think of the battle in Avengers Tower?
it was extremely well coordinated. I'm going to be honest, like, you know.
Oh, definitely.
Like ever since Ruby Volume 5 with its awful finale battle, if you haven't seen it, it's basically like you know, fighting game intros.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a bunch of fighting game intros stitched together, and like everyone like pauses while the fighting game intros are happening. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I've grown like a fonder appreciation of like well coordinated, multi-combatant, like in the same room fight scenes. So like this was extremely well coordinated. You know, it's just like, you know what? Yeah, like I said before, like, yeah, they got teamwork. They're like, you know, Hawkeye tossing Cap his shield. You know, like everyone like readying their weapons against Ultron. It's just really well done. I love it.
Yep.
And yeah, Ruby Volume 5 broke me, but yeah, it just finally broke me. I mean, seriously, if you haven't watched it, it's probably one of the worst, like, same room multi-combatant fight I've ever seen. But
I'll say I don't like the choppy editing. I think that's where I get kind of hung up on some of these things, because I want to see the whole thing like with a bird's eye view, and I know you like never get that.
I saw it on my laptop, so I guess I didn't really notice it all that much. If I'm to be perfectly honest, like I saw like one cut where I'm like, huh, what is that? And then that was it.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just like more noticeable on like the big screen, I guess, with choppy editing, I suppose.
It's basically the cutting back between different things really quickly is what she means by choppy editing.
Oh, that? Yeah. Okay.
I didn't. Yeah.
Say that again, CJ?
Person. Oh, yeah. I say, yeah, I didn't mean like blurry editing or something, or like shaky cam stuff. So I just meant you go from one person to one person to one person to one person, and it all looks really nice, you know. Mm-hmm. But it's also like you're in a different corner of the room. I don't know where this other person's supposed to be standing originally, and I don't have a really good grasp of like space when they do it like that. So, but I mean, like you care about every character, you want to know what's coming, and then they give it to you. So you can't complain too much. I can complain anyway because I'm good at that. But
yeah. So then we get the aftermath, and I gotta say, Maria Hill, Agent Hill, is one tough cookie, Colby Smulders, because she's literally using a tweezer to pull glass out of her foot. Shards of glass, because remember, she took her shoes off during that whole thing. And then we hear it's like Ultron cleared or deleted everything and used the internet as an escape hatch. And it's like, you built this program, why is it trying to kill us? And this is when Tony kind of has his mad scientist moment. It's like, is it so terrible? I mean, is it so terrible? And also Thor comes in choking hell out of him. It's like, I have more than enough words to describe you, Stark. But
he could have like popped Tony like a balloon there.
Yeah, he's like, oh, it's like but also we get the a lot of people love to say that the first mention of Endgame and the Endgame title was in Infinity War. And I'm thinking to myself, no, it wasn't. It was actually in Age of Ultron, because he tells him, he's like, remember when we are an alien, or when I sent a nuke through a wormhole and we could bust or we're the Avengers, we could bust arms dealers all live long day, but that up there, that's the end game. And I'm thinking they already had, or not when I first saw this movie, but when I saw Endgame, or when I saw that the next or the last Avengers movie was called Endgame, I'm thinking to myself, did they have this planned since Ultron? Because they use that term in Ultron.
Yep.
And everybody's like, yeah, Doctor Strange name dropped it. It's like, no, Tony did. Everybody's like, what do you mean? Watch Age of Ultron. Well, that movie sucked. It's like, watch Age of Ultron. They're like, well, why? Because he's like, that's the end game. So I'm willing to bet they're going to actually say, yeah, this was planned.
There's like a lot of stuff in here that's set up, to be perfectly honest. Like, if you don't watch Age of Ultron, skip it because it sucks, then you don't get a lot of context for later movies. So, like, kind of like Clint's family, it's just like he just randomly has a kid and she just vaporizes. That's the first scene. You skip this.
Yeah. I think it's one of those movies that I think people will grow to like more, maybe.
Yeah.
I honestly think this is probably one of the most overhated MCU movies. I'm going to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
you're absolutely
I can
right.
understand not liking Thor's character because he's such a contrast to Tony, and Tony's like fun, and then he's more alien than Cap, and
I guess I can understand not liking like Ultron because he is different than he is in the comics or like other media. But yeah,
he's purely murder bot in the comics.
Yeah, pretty much. He's like a Terminator. Is like Skynet, basically.
I mean, also, did any of you guys see the Marvel What Ifs?
I saw 2 episodes of it because I couldn't stand looking at it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, to spoil it, Ultron. There's the What If where Ultron actually gets into Vision's body.
Yep.
And he then gets all 6 Infinity Stones and starts wreaking havoc across several universes, chasing after the Watcher. And I'm thinking to myself, you guys broke the cardinal rule of Infinity Stones. Once they leave their home universe, they go inert. So the second that he went after the Watcher, he would have shut down into a catatonic state. So yeah, you can't leave, or the Infinity Stones can't leave their home universe, because they even did the Amalgam comics where Darkseid from DC got the Infinity Gauntlet and all 6 stones.
Oh my god, that's even more scary than Thanos getting all 6 stones.
I know, and he's like, I could feel the power, but they're not working well. It's like they're away, or the power's inside them, sir. But I'm guessing it's because they're not in their home universe.
Yep.
Interesting
Well,
fact.
yeah, like
Thanos.
honestly, like cool idea, but not a lot of thought put into it. I'm gonna
Yep.
be honest. Yeah, so I'm just like, yeah. I'm like, no, the Infinity Stones are in their own universe. You can just have them conquer
Interesting.
you can just have them conquer the universe and not trying to chase after the Watcher. So
Exactly, and that would have been well enough there.
mhm.
But no, they had to fuck that up. But anyway, back to this. You see him singing after he gets blasted by Thor. I have no strings, but now I'm free. There are no strings on me. And then you hear the Pinocchio song from it when he's in Sokovia building up the drones, finishing them up. And let me see here. Going back to talking points. Right.
Yep. You know what would be
No.
cool? Is if that like a Pinocchio Dark Souls game uses that song.
Right. And
Yeah.
then they're like, he also said he killed somebody. There was nobody else in the building. Yes, there was. And we get our mourning of Jarvis. And it's like, this
Poor
isn't
Jarvis.
strategy. This is rage.
He's a child tearing up a toy. I don't know.
Essentially, yeah. That was it. And so
And that's a
we
pretty
get
common
the.
sci-fi trope. Even Pokemon did it with Mew and Mewtwo.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You find
Yep.
out that your makers are like genocidal monsters.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's kind of funny
but yeah.
because Mew is like a very innocent baby, and then like Mewtwo is like the psycho baby.
One of the things I actually like about
Psychopath.
that, or I've seen Pokemon the first movie, and believe me, I cry every time I watch that movie at the end.
Aw.
And I'm not afraid to admit it. But you also see that Mew is not afraid to throw down. I mean, when they do their final backing away from each other to do their final throw at each other, you see the look on Mew's face is one of, it's like, all right, I'm going to kick your ass now. He's got anger in his face.
I'm gonna spank you.
Yeah.
You're basically
But-
my kid. I'm spanking you.
Like to be good, you have to be capable of violence. You just
Mhm.
choose not to do it. So
Yeah.
that's kind of
Because-
like the nuanced paradox kind of peace, and that like Ultron does not get.
Mhm.
Yep.
Like maintain the peace, you're going to have to protect the people that otherwise would be killed by people who don't want peace. So
And he goes
and
after
that can bring
Strucker.
about violence. It's not that you
Yeah.
seek out violence.
Yeah. You're seeking
Yeah.
out peace through killing, where the Avengers seek peace through protecting. He got the mission
Right.
wrong.
I mean, like, he is still a robot, and I think, like, what does it mean to be human? Like, why is Vision considered human by many? Is because he's has some kind of emotional capability, or there's some evidence for it. And
Yeah.
I think as the film goes on with Ultron, you do see more of the darker kind of emotions leaking through, and even the rage thing, like they say and stuff at the beginning, is kind of like, yeah, there you go.
Well, he also expresses it
but,
very
like,
much in
Yeah.
this film.
Yeah, but I mean, like you could kind of almost forgive an innocent, like a program bot to like make the world at peace. But if you don't understand what goes into peace and human nature and stuff, like the idea of killing everybody to maintain the peace, it's actually kind of funny.
It's also very contradictory
those absurd-
because
Sociopathological.
how do
Yes.
you achieve peace or a peaceful humanity when everybody's dead, you know? You're breaking up badly, CJ.
Well, hey,
Yeah, there you go.
monetized. Oh,
Yeah. Sorry,
I was
it's
saying.
just your signal is breaking up a little bit.
Okay.
Now you're back, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes.
I was saying like killing everybody to maintain peace is like absurd levels of thinking, as well as like sociopathical and stuff. But I mean, like climate change activists say the same thing. Let's
Hmm.
kill everybody, and the climate will stop changing. So
Actually, it won't because what climate change, or to jump there for a moment, folks. She went there, she opened the door, so I'm walking through it. Uh, a lot of people love to say
if
climate
you
change
dare.
this, climate change that. Here's the thing climate change isn't happening right now. What's happening is climate shift. There's a difference. You guys should look it up because climate shift takes a it's a 10,000 or 20,000 year cycle, and the
Yeah.
last time that it happened was 20,000 years was when it started, and it ended 10,000 years or 10,000 BC at the end of the last ice age. Well, now we're having another climate shift where we're seeing different or a lot of changes and whatnot. However, everybody's like, well, if we do this, that ain't gonna do shit. Just to let you guys know.
Well, the end
But
of the world was supposed to happen a couple days ago, but I'll say this: most of the
yeah,
people that believe in climate change are evolutionists, and it's like, aren't we going to just change with it? Why are you worried about it? They're worried about it from a scientific aspect, where when you do the like the population control stuff, but like the controls on it are environments that don't shift along with the population itself.
exactly.
So a lot of their theories are very flawed and silly, and
Yeah,
this idea that giving the government more money to stop it is even more ridiculous. So if you have a
indeed.
basic grasp of science, history, and human nature, you can. I get a lot of enemies for just calling out on it. Sorry,
Hey, you're not wrong though.
I'm not wrong.
So we get the next day where they find out that Strucker has been killed by Ultron, and he leaves peace on the wall and blood, and he left a Banksy at the crime scene just for us. And we
You know, in
see that
10
the
years, nobody will
twins.
get that reference.
Yeah, I know, right? Banksy is a graphic art or graffiti artist, folks. Just so you know. But because I originally didn't know until it's like, what the hell is a Banksy? But anyway, Ultron meeting the twins was a nice little moment. It's like, did you know that this church is in the direct center of town? I like that the geometry of belief, which you mentioned earlier, CJ.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're wondering why you can't get into my head. Well, sometimes it's hard, but every man or everyone always or every man always reveals himself. Oh, I'm sure they do. And it's like, oh shit, that thing's big.
Yep.
Well, I mean, he's making a very Tony-esque sort of comment there. So, and I mean, like, it's true,
Yeah.
whether he believes he's exempt from it or not.
And it's like, is that why you've come to end the Avengers? I've come to save the world. But also, yeah. And I'm thinking to
Well,
myself,
saving the world is not the same thing as like preserving civilization or human life necessarily.
exactly. It's one of the most ambiguous statements ever
Yes.
because you don't know what it entails. So
Right.
then we
It's
get,
like you're saying you're going to save all the puppies and then you end up killing all the dogs that are over a year old. So.
yeah, which technically are still puppies. But anyway, we get we find out about Wakanda because Ulysses Claw is one of Strucker's contacts.
Yep.
And we see the brand, and it's like it means thief and not so friendly away. What dialect? Wakanda. Oh shit! If this guy got out of Wakanda with some of their trade goods, I thought your dad said he got the last of it. I don't follow what comes out of Wakanda, the strongest metal on earth. So
Ew.
we now know that he's going for some juicing. He's gonna get a stronger metal with the body. Andy Serkis as Ulysses Claw. Folks, first off, Ulysses Claw was a Fantastic Four villain. So, how they managed to even get his rights for that or for use at the time, they didn't have Fox, I believe. They didn't
No.
get Fox yet. And it's
I
like,
do wonder. I do wonder if it's in a similar situation as Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. So
I'm guessing that is.
you can use the name, but you can't have them be similar to their the counterparts that you would have if you had like X-Men and Fantastic Four movies. So it's like, okay, here's Ulysses Claw. He is now a Black Panther villain. Let's go.
Yeah,
Well, basically.
because what he becomes is through some sort of screw up mad scientist route. He literally becomes living sound or physical sound.
What?
Is what he becomes. He literally becomes a physical embodiment of sound.
Huh.
And solidified sound, which he can create all sorts of different constructs with. That's what he is in the comics. In this, he's just an arms dealer who later loses his arm thanks to Ultron, because Ultron doesn't like being compared to Stark, because he's like, it's like I always say, keep your friends rich and your enemies rich, and then find out which is which. Stark. What? Tony Stark used to say that to me. You're one of his. What? I am not. He pulls his arm up. He's like, I am not. You think I'm one of Stark's puppets, his little hollow men. I mean, look at me. Do I look like Iron Man to you? Stark is nothing. He just freaking slices his arm off, folks.
I know, like, that was like, brutal. I think I saw, didn't I like see like a spray of blood a little bit, like just because it's a blink and you miss it, like it's like a blue.
They don't show it, but it would have been cauterized really quickly because he heats his his hand up when he does that.
Yeah, but I mean, like I feel like I watched that scene. I'm like, I feel like I see just a little like sprit, like right there, like when
you probably
he's like chopping
it,
and then immediately cauterize after.
Because when he does this, you see him go like that, and then he steps back and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sure that'll be okay. It's just you don't understand. Don't compare me to Stark. It's a thing with me, Stark. He's a sickness. And I love how he freaks out with it. And then that's when Stark comes in and it's like, oh, Junior, you're going to break your old man's heart. And he then shows more of his Starkiness instead of snarkiness, but Starkiness when Thor...
Starkiness, that's funny.
When Thor pipes up, he's like, nobody has to break anything. Clearly, you've never made an omelet. He beat me by 1 second.
Yeah, that goes back to what Wanda was saying, like with him and his exchange is like he always end up revealing themselves. So it's nice progression.
Yeah, and they're there to basically make a deal for all the vibranium that Claw owns. I mean, he hacks 1 million banks and just steals billions of dollars to give to him.
World economy immediately tanks.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's like billions of dollars just got siphoned from the world economy. Is my bank account okay?
Oh, well, Sokovia, I guess, is close to Ukraine, right? So.
Eastern Europe. So, yeah.
There you go.
But it's not a real country, though. But anyway. So then we see the Avengers get in, and I love when he's like, what's the vibranium for? I'm glad you asked that. And his gesture here, you actually see the magnetic grapple or the magnetic wave in his hand open up before he pulls Stark forward. And that's a lovely thing because remember, folks, Pietro and Wanda Maximoff are the children of a certain magnetic character. And so when they give Ultron magnetic abilities, I'm thinking to myself, is anybody noticing a Magneto thing going with Ultron here? So who else picked up on it? Please tell me I'm not the only one.
I actually thought this was kind of mimicking Tony's, like when he calls his armor to his hand earlier to get the staff, and how he did
Yeah,
it in
same.
Iron Man 3. I thought it
Because
was a
he
callback
does
to
it.
that in another sort of
He
parallel
does it
to Tony.
with literally concrete and cars in North Korea. And he also throws other stuff at Tony in the ship as well. With the magnetic sequence. And then we got that nice slow-mo sequence with Quicksilver running really quickly. And I love how he tries to grab Mjolnir. He's like, hey, whee! He's like, what the fuck?
I love Quicksilver in this movie and Pietro.
Yeah. Aaron Taylor
It's
Johnson
fun.
actually is very good in this. And now they have him playing Kraven the Hunter in, technically, the MCU. Because, yes, he's in the Sony verse, but Spider-Man's also in that same universe, so... But anyway.
That's good, though. I really think Pietro dying in this film was dumb. So.
Yeah, I will agree. It's like,
I
why
wanted
did
the
you
siblings together. I wanted all three of them. It was cute little fun.
And instead of doing that, folks, they make a Quicksilver joke where this guy named Boner is
What?
the new Quicksilver in WandaVision.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
yeah, he was
X-Men
like from like the
Quicksilver.
second X-Men thing.
Yeah, he's the first class Quicksilver.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, this is fucking weird.
Oh yeah, they're supposed to be twins, but like that Quicksilver is younger.
Very much so, right?
Yep.
And those two actors, Aaron Taylor Johnson and the one who plays the X-Men one, actually were in a movie. I believe it was either Kick-Ass or Jackass, one of the two. I think it was Kick-Ass, where they.
I think it was Kick-Ass, yeah.
Yeah, Kick-Ass. It has ass in it. I know that. But or the Mind Games, which is also very good because it shows that the Avengers get their freaking asses kicked. Where you see that Natasha is brought back to the Red Room, Steve is brought back to, or thinking that he didn't lose, or he didn't go into the ice, a potential future that he could have had if he hadn't made that sacrifice. And we also think that Thor, he's like, the girl tried to warp my mind. Be careful with her. I don't think a human can keep her at bay. Fortunately, I am mighty. And it's like, dude, I hate to break it to you, you're under a spell. And if you pay close attention to Thor's visions, you see these three masked characters in these three pillar things. One is a wolf, one is a ram, and one is a buck. Which, by the way, bucks, folks, are in some areas of the world known as hart. Wolf, ram, and hart. Also, Wolfram and Hart, like in the Angel series. Interesting. Joss Whedon had to put that in because he wanted to pay a little bit of homage to his own works, which every director is allowed to do. And we see a blind Heimdall where his voice is no longer deep because, well, I guess they didn't feel like pitching his voice down. And it's like, but I like the Heimdall with the pitch down voice because it works.
I guess it kind of works in a way because it's a trippy vision thing. Like,
it is a trip. Yeah, it would.
Yeah, so it does work. So,
however,
they
like,
never. He sounds like I don't know. Like he sounds like a.
It's his actual voice in that one.
Well, he kind of sounds like Gollum because he's like rasping his words almost like.
Well, in this, he's kind of very joyous and drunk. He's like, "Is that him? Is that the son of Odin?" We see you leading
very unlike
us into
Heimdall.
hell. You're a destroyer, Odin's son. See where your power leads. And Thor's actually getting visions of, well, Vision and the Time Stone and other, or not the Time Stone, but the Mind Stone and whatnot. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. And then we see Scarlett Johansson playing a younger Scarlett Johansson. Just change the hair, and you got a, I don't know, 20-year-old Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, they probably should have like casted like at least like a younger actress in that role. I'm gonna be
They
honest.
really should have.
It's a bit obvious. It's
They really
obvious.
should have.
Like, but you know what? I guess it's whatever. I suppose it's like
Yeah.
they're like a vision sequence, right? Like it's like she's in the role of her younger self, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I also like.
that's kind of like another Heimdall voice thing. It's like I don't mind if it's slightly off.
Yeah. But they unfortunately don't go back to it in Thor Ragnarok or Infinity War, because they don't deepen his voice back, and it's like, you sons of bitches. But anyway,
Okay.
yeah, they keep the inconsistent, or they make it inconsistent that way. But anyway, Cap is having his vision with Peggy where he finally gets that dance. And she's about to go, or Scarlett's about to go after Clint, and he's like, had the whole mind control thing done to me. Not a fan. And he puts a freaking shock arrow right on her head. And it's like,
that had to hurt.
yeah, I'm thinking to myself, damn, that's awesome. Because it's like, oh shit, dude, that is so great.
I like how they did that too, because like he's had it done before, obviously, and this time he doesn't have it, and he's the one that ends up kind of rescuing them all.
Yep.
The hideout and everything. I thought it was a good foreshadowing, sort of.
It's a good parallel and a good mirror of what happened in Avengers, where he has to save them instead of them saving him, and whatnot.
Can I just say Haley Atwell looks like, honestly, like I really like the hairstyle in that sequence. It's all curled
40s.
up and like tied up, and like it looks super cute.
Yeah, it's very 40s. And I agree too, by the way. So Quicksilver pulls his sister out, and he wants to go back and kill Clint. But I love what Clint says after he rushes out. It's like, yeah, you better run. But the Hulk Banner is out there. He's like, guys, is this code green? And they see him. Now, you got to really pay attention to Elizabeth Olsen's eyes throughout this movie. There are several scenes where her eyes flare red when she's pissed off. Like when they're telling the story to Ultron about what happened with Tony Stark's missile that blew the hell out of their house. When she turns to, on the name of the shell is one name, and when she says Stark, you see her eyes flare red. And then when she says, I want to finish the plan, I want the big one, her eyes flare red there as well.
Yep.
And it really is a nice little touch there. Now, a trick that they actually wanted to do with Age of Ultron was with the Hulk, when the Hulk is under the spell, they wanted to make him gray, to be like the Gray Hulk, which was a callback to the original Hulk. And I'm thinking to myself, you should have done it. You should have done it.
Yeah, probably should have done Gray Hulk.
Yeah. But I do actually love how they really do make that savage look on his face when he's running toward the town. And you'll also see Iron Man finally knock down Ultron. He's like, the vibranium's getting away. Yeah, and you're not going anywhere. Of course not, because I'm already there. You'll catch on, but first, you may need to catch Dr. Banner.
And no, I think he said page Dr. Banner, which is even more funny.
No, he said catch. But,
well, this is the fun time because we get to see Veronica. So.
Yep.
Where did he come up with that name? I actually was curious.
I have no idea. But,
is that something from the comics?
I really don't know. Let me look it up. Veronica Hulk Buster name origin. See, why did they name? Oh,
I
I
know
should have
he's
just
named
asked
other
him.
ones from like Iron Man 3 and everything, but I'm just so curious.
Oh,
He
I
used to
get it.
be. He used to be in love with a girl named Betty, and Veronica is the opposite of that.
Oh,
Is
like
what
Okay.
I see it.
yeah.
It's Veronica is a comic book character who becomes Tony's therapist.
Oh,
Well, I just
okay.
read or the thing they gave for the movie. It's like because Betty or the opposite of Betty is Veronica.
Oh,
And I'm thinking,
Like
interesting.
I
how
haven't.
so? Like
I don't know. Let me
the
look at
opposite.
it
I
again
mean,
before you go because you said you got to go at 9:30.
yeah, I gotta put my kids to bed. So
Okay,
we're homeschooling now, so we're
yeah.
trying to keep school hours.
So the filmmaker said during Age of Ultron press conference in 2015, I just decided to call it Veronica because he used to be in love with a girl named Betty, and Veronica is the opposite of that. Whedon said, obviously referencing Betty and Veronica, who compete for Archie Andrews' attentions and Archie.
Oh,
Okay.
so from Archie comics, interesting.
Interesting. I think I like the therapist explanation better, though.
So, is there anything you want to say before or about the Hulkbuster fight before you go?
It's tragically hilarious and awkward at
Yeah.
times, I think. So.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love the cut with like Banner like the Hulk standing up and then like Hulkbuster punch to black.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. I think they did a good
And
job with it.
all right.
So,
Is
but
there
yeah,
anything you want to plug before you go?
just follow me on Twitter. I plug everything on Twitter, so
All right.
I don't
She's
have
got
anything
another.
specifically right now.
She's got her thing going for Discord too. Her comic.
Yep, gonna relaunch in August. And I got
Cool.
the script halfway done for episode 2, and I really
Alrighty.
love it. So that's exciting when I really love something.
Alrighty.
So yes,
Good
check
luck
it out
on
on
that.
Twitter, everybody. Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you
good
very much. And
luck.
thank you.
And
Thank you
goodbye.
Yep.
I hope you have a good night.
All right. Have a good
And then
night.
there were
You do.
2.
So the fight, to give our own touch on it, the fight between Banner, because he knows he's like, you may want to catch Dr. Banner, and then he's like, oh, you son of a bitch, and he just blows him up. And so I really do like that because he's like, search news or footage keyword Hulk, and you see some of the footage from the fight coming up
Yep.
with or in the city, and it's like, clever cutting there. So you know that this whole thing was shot out of sequence because they had to show a little bit of what was going on. And we learned that, Nat can't do the lullaby, so he's like, I'm calling Veronica. And you see as he's saying it, you see the Hulkbuster thing come up on his head or on his heads up display, which is pretty cool. Now, the scene where you see him in the suit as the suit's coming up and closing around him, that reminds me so much of the Ironmonger suit from Iron Man 1 because he's literally like in a suit of a suit or a suit in a suit, which is pretty cool. And I remember during the trailer with the reveal of the Hulkbuster, you don't see Veronica's the extra thing coming into shot going down like this. In the trailer, that it was a unfinished shot. They only finished the suit growing or closing up around him. And I'm thinking to myself, holy shit, they got Hulkbuster coming. Yes! Because I saw the previs, not the previs, but the storyboards of what they were planning for it. And they show the Hulkbuster or or Hulk versus Iron Man Hulkbuster armor. And it's like, don't tease me like that unless you are going to do it in such a way that it works. And folks, somebody clipped the elevator part where he smacks him with the elevator and then just clocks him really hard. And they put as a little caption at the top, your reaction when you hit when you're playing with your brother and your older brother and you hit him too hard.
Oh.
And it's like when he spits out the freaking tooth, it almost sounds like he hit that tooth just broke tile itself, because that tooth is like the size of a brick. But I absolutely love the whole fight because he's like, will you listen to me? That little witchy poo is messing with your mind. You're stronger than her. You're better than her. You are Bruce Banner. And the Hulk just freaks out. Right. Don't mention puny Banner. And he's like, okay. Grabs him by the head and just slams him down. I mean, this fight is brutal, folks. And then the Hulk gets up. He's like, you're hitting the back? Dick move, Banner. For those of you who don't know, another Joss Whedon line, basically. Because it's a sexual line, let's just say that. But I do like how the arm just goes straight out, turns, bing, and just punches Hulk off. And he's like, Veronica, give me a hand. And he gets the next hand, which we then get the fists meeting each other. How did you like the fist meeting fist in that scene?
Oh, that was hilarious. It's a very funnily
like
shot.
shockwave.
It's just like it's super dramatic. Like, poof, we're done.
It's like, oh shit, get the hell out of the way and make sure you're not near glass. And then we get him into the frickin'. It's like, okay, or he gets the new arm, which just starts. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. And then, because I love how this armor is very intuitive, because he stops the fist, but then because they designed it because they know the Hulk's moves, because him and Banner just designed this armor, and he stops it, so he knows the next move would be you want to lock the Hulk's arm.
Yeah, that's basically like a big arm brace. So
yeah. So it's like, okay, well, all right, I'm going to swallow your arm. And then it's like, okay, let's get you out of town, buddy.
It does look like the Hulkbuster is like eating the arm. It's kind of the way it's just framed. It's kind of funny.
It just goes right around the arm and just twists and locks. And he gets him into the
if
mall.
Tony Stark was a different man, he would have designed that to just like slice the arm clean.
Probably. If it was the military, that's what they would have done.
Yeah.
But then you get well, actually, hold on a minute while we're discussing this. There we are, and bring it back. So yeah, I love how he kind of just slams him up. Come on, Bruce, you gotta work with me. And he tries spraying him with sedative, but it doesn't work. And then we get the whole everybody out of the elevator, and he smacks him with the elevator, and then does another freaking just haymaker Hulk. And Hulk just.
That reminds me. Okay, this doesn't seem very related, but basically like like the end credits to like I think it was Iron Man 3, right, where like Tony's talking to Banner.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like basically a sort of therapist.
Yeah.
And like that, and like this fight scene where it's like I'm like he's basically being his therapist.
Yeah, basically. It's
and as like Spy Time's family puts it, this is concussive therapy.
Yeah.
Beat him down.
Yeah. And it's a natural occurrence. South America could become a desert for in the future. Yeah. And I was just reading Jet Sparks' thing here. And so then it's like after he spits out the tooth, he's like, I'm sorry. How fast can we buy this building? Because Hulk is now no longer allowing Bruce to use any more Hulkbuster pieces because he destroys Veronica when Veronica tries sending out more pieces. So he's like, all right, well, drastic measures. How quick can we buy this building? He collapses a building and he pushes Hulk through the building, folks.
Yep.
And then Hulk is awake, seeing all the damage he's done. And you see him, he's like, oh my God, did I just do this? But then he sees the people with their weapons cocked and he's like, oh, and it's like, oh, shit, man. That's the knockout punch right there. I mean, I would have thought the other punch would have been a knockout, but it's like, boing.
Direct hit.
Yep. And we get the final beat within the Quinjet where Banner is just he just wants to lock himself away. You could definitely see on the look of his face. He's like, there's no way anybody's going to accept me now after this. And Nat is just completely shut off because of what happened to her. The Avengers have been brought low, folks. What was your thoughts where you see them just looking so defeated at this point?
Like I was like, damn, like I think just them being very out of it, like more than like any other movie, just out of it. It's just like, oh my God, what do we do? What the fudge? What was that? Okay.
Yeah.
So like this really messed them up. Like Scarlet Witch really messed them up. It's
because in the first one where Loki got them all freaking riled up, this one Ultron literally tore them down. It's like, this is your best, and I took what you had and I just fucked you all up. Well, then we get the safe house with Clint's family. And I really do love that scene because it shows how they're all still very much affected. And Linda Cardellini as Clint's wife is such a great actress. Folks, she played Velma in the live-action Scooby-Doo.
Yep.
And I'm thinking to myself, she was the sexiest Velma I had ever seen. Not gonna lie, great freaking Velma. That show
is very good Velma. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. Like it's the Scooby-Doo live-action movies are very cheesy, but you know, it works. It works.
They do. I mean, especially her as Velma just worked really well, and her as Hawkeye's wife in this, it also works very well because how she talks with him and whatnot. She's pregnant with his third kid. It's like, how's little Natasha? She's Nathaniel, traitor. Because Nat is still shaken, but she puts on the brave front for his kids. Thor steps on a Lego house and tries sweeping it under the table. And the daughter still goes up to him like, you stepped on my house. I really love that. It's like,
I like the scene with Natasha and like Clint's wife. It's like Laura, like it's just like, how's little Natasha? It's like Nathaniel, and then she just like kind of laughs like traitor.
Like traitor.
It's just she's trying to joke around and lighten the mood a bit, even though she herself is kind of fucked up.
And then Thor takes off because he saw something in that dream and he needs answers, but he can't find them there. And you also see Steve is still a little shaken up because he's still hearing Peggy's voice. And then we get the scene with them talking, or Clint's wife talking about Clint's wound that he got from earlier in the film. See, you can barely tell the difference and whatnot. And she's like, you know, if all of them are going to sleep here, some of them are going to have to double bunk. Yeah, that's not going to sell. What about Nat and Banner? How long has that been going on? Is what? And she's like, oh, you are so cute. Nat and Banner? I'll explain when you're a little older, Hawkeye. It is just such a cute little scene because it shows that she is fully on his side and she is basically keeping him. She's what keeps him together. He's what's keeping the Avengers together. She's what's keeping him together. And we see.
Yeah, she is a very supportive, loving wife. Like, oh my God. Like,
yeah. And believe me, folks.
You don't usually get that with like
goes,
freaking secret spies or whatever. You usually get family drama, but nah, here it's just like, yep, I fully support you. I love you.
Yep.
And we're going to work through this.
Exactly. And I love what she tells him. She's like, I can feel the difference when she goes to touch the scar thing. I love that. And then we see in North Korea, I believe. Yeah, they jump to North Korea where Dr. Cho from earlier in the film meets Ultron, and Ultron basically takes the scepter, turns her evil. So because he wants her to use the cradle to build a body for him using the vibranium that he just bought.
Well, mind controls her, yeah.
Yeah, with the scepter, and it's like, oh shit. Okay, yeah, that's working. And we then get the wood chopping scene where it has been turned into such a freaking meme because you see Steve literally snap a log or pull apart a log with his bare hands.
Yeah, he's strong. I gotta admit that. Like,
and I'm like, oh shit! And they cut that scene with Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy when Groot is in the casino watching those monsters tear each other apart, and he's like, he kind of reacts like, oh my god, that's just horrible.
well, wouldn't that be funny? It's like someone like cuts up like the wood chopping scene, but then Groot is just like,
yeah, because that's what they did. That's what they did. They actually show Steve rip apart the log, and then they show Groot like, and it's like, oh,
that's hilarious. Oh my god,
it really is. But it's a part of an interesting scene because he's like, Banner and I were doing research that would affect the team, that would end the team. Isn't that why we fight? So we could end the fight, so we get to go home.
Every time someone tries to win a war.
No, play that. Play that.
You want me to play it?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, so we can end the fight, so we get to go home. Every time someone tries to win a war before it starts, innocent people die. Every time.
All right. I'm there.
Sorry.
But that is such a great line.
I wanted to look up the clip again.
Yeah.
It's pretty good conversation.
It is. And it's such a great line because he's absolutely right. Every time somebody tries to win a war before it starts, innocent people die. It's an unavoidable thing because the war hasn't started. The guilty parties haven't been established, you know?
Yeah, there's been so many instances in history where it's literally like war has been started over paranoia or trying to fix things and then you screw it all up. So, like, yeah.
And then Mrs. Barton, the little minx, sends Stark in to fix the John Deere tractor. And, well, there's another visitor in there. In the shadows. Whose soul is as black as hate. No, I'm just kidding. It's Fury, ladies and gentlemen. Well, who can be a very hateful individual at times. But I do love it. It's like...
The black...
Yeah, I fucking went there. But it's like artificial intelligence. You never even hesitated. Look, I've had a long day, like Eugene O'Neill long. So how about we just drop the pretense and pretend you're useful?
I mean, Nick Fury is the type who would just show up in a garage behind you.
Oh yeah, he's the one that he comes in when he absolutely needs to, and he's like, tell me you're going to shut him down. You're not the director of me. I'm not the director of anybody. I'm just an old man who's very concerned about you. And I'm the man who killed the Avengers. Tony's confession, folks, is such a powerful scene. Because he's like, I saw it. I saw him dead, Nick. it was as real as I see you and whatnot. And she's like, the Maximoff girl, she's playing with your head. Start playing on your fears. I wasn't tricked. I was shown. It wasn't my fear. It's my legacy. The end of the path I started us on. And I love what he says. You've come up with some amazing inventions, Tony. War isn't one of them. War's basically been around since humanity has come out, was first created or evolved into cavemen. They started killing each other then. It was a war between people at that point. But anyway, get the point.
I do like the earlier line he says. This is like, it's just like a director. It's like, I'm not the director of anybody. I'm just an old man who cares very much about you. And so I'm like, that's actually him trying to be a little bit sweeter.
Yeah, a little bit more of a father figure. I love that line Fury said after Tony confessed. Yeah. And Steve is pointing out the obvious, and yet Tony is oblivious to a degree. Exactly. Because he wanted to end the threats before they happened. Which
as I was saying, like, it goes right back to like being a control freak, trying to prepare for everything. But the truth is, like, you can't. Nobody can.
Exactly, because and I'll explain this when we get to Infinity War, because they don't give the good guys a moment to breathe. Or to take a breath.
No, they do not. There was a wave after wave after wave.
Exactly, and we'll get to that when we get to it. So we see the progression of Cho building Vision, and then we get back to Nick Fury at the house, and we learn that Ultron is in fact going after nuclear codes because he's in the files, he's in the internet, and yet he can't make any headway because there is an unknown factor that's constantly changing the nuclear codes anytime Ultron thinks he's cracked the codes. And I love what Tony says. I cracked the Pentagon's firewall in high school on a dare. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't ever want to piss him off.
Oh.
You know?
He's gonna hack your social media. He's gonna like hack your social media, or like, get your special
files. Let's take a look
files.
at your internet history. Let's take a look at your bank. Let's take a look at all that shit.
Oh, like, here's like $2,000 that went to a Miss Penny in Tallahassee.
Yeah, right. Folks, I'm joking. I do not have a hooker. Or do I? But anyway, I love what he says about Ultron. It's like, oh, he's easy to track. He's multiplying faster than a Catholic rabbit. And I'm thinking to myself, well, at least he didn't say Jewish rabbit.
Oh my God.
Yep. And so he's like, outwit the Platinum Bastard. Steve doesn't like that kind of talk. You know what, Romanoff? Because the whole Steve's like language, they make a joke about that earlier too, when somebody says, or he's like, yeah, or damn straight or something like that, and Hill's like, Steve, he said a bad language word. It's like, did you tell everybody about that? Yeah.
I do love, like, in the background, like, I like how, like, Natasha's like, I guess, like, she'd be like the godmother in this case, like a good auntish godmother. Like, it's like, it's so sweet.
And you also see the darts between Tony and Hawkeye, and Hawkeye throws all three bullseyed, and it's like, dude, really?
Yep.
And then he's like, so this is when Bruce puts it together. It's like, humanity doesn't need to be saved. They need to evolve. Ultron's going to evolve. Well, has anybody been in contact with Helen Cho? It's like, well, oh shit, we need to maybe we probably should have checked up on her. It's like, what took you guys so long to figure that shit out? And Tony's going to the Nexus, which is in Oslo, Norway, which is the fastest internet accessibility on Earth. And I'm seeing an ant crawl across the floor over here. So it's like, God damn it, I want to kill you and throw you in a thing of boric acid and sugar water that my mom has set out for the ants. But it's like, there is no trap over there for them. But anyway, back to the movie. I love how Tony Stark's there and he's like, Hacker is faster than Ultron, and I'm just looking for a needle in the world's biggest haystack. How do you find it? It's easy. You bring a magnet. And the two in back of him are freaking taking a selfie with him. It's like, get me a picture with him. Hey! It's like, really? It's fucking hilarious. And also, Thor is with Dr. Selvig, getting the water of sight, going back to his vision that he had. And we see the Infinity Stones, the 4 of them that have been revealed. The Tesseract, the Power Stone, the Ether, and the Mind Stone, all in this nebula that looks very much like a fist, and the 4 of them are right there.
Foreshadowing is real, and like, the good doctor has gone out of his loopy arc.
Yep. And so he now knows what he needs to do, and it's now there was a deleted scene where you actually hear the voices in the Water of Sight speaking through Thor, where they talk about the Infinity Stones, and it's like, oh damn. So you understand that there is somebody trying to bring them together. So it's like, oh boy, she's kind of spoiling the plot there. So I'm glad they actually didn't go that route. They just show him sparking up in the water, which is kind of dangerous because, well, water and electricity don't mix. But it was for the girls because seeing Chris Hemsworth shirtless is always a good treat for the women. Mm-hmm. And the guys who, go that way. So
and just anybody who wants an ideal physique.
Yeah. So they end up going to North Korea just as Cho is uploading the body because also Ultron cracked open the scepter, the jewel in the scepter, and put the Mind Stone on his body, and it already imprinted it immediately imprints a brain. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's quick.
Oh yeah, you know what? And I almost forgot to mention, in the house scene, it's like where them talking, right, like where Tony was talking about breaking into the Pentagon, like there is like where it's like it's like the human form is flawed, like it's biological, it doesn't make sense, like, but he keeps going back to it, and then like it shows like the picture, like the little girl's drawing, and it's a butterfly, so it's like. Yeah, and then that also goes way back to like the beginning of Ultron's first scene, where it's like it's a chrysalis.
Yep.
It's like he's becoming a butterfly, an evil robot butterfly, but whatever.
No, you're not wrong because it's all part of the human
evolution.
Body is outmoded, yet he keeps coming back to it. Why? And well, he's gonna evolve. He's gonna take all of his resources and evolve a human body into something totally indestructible.
Yeah, it's basically like like robots, like programs, like there are limits to it. We're not quite there like the Skynet thing yet.
Well, he is essentially a physical embodiment of Skynet. I mean, he's going after nukes. So
yeah, pretty much. But it's like kind of like that. Robots have limits, and so Ultron definitely really hates the human cognition in this movie. He also keeps going back to it because the one thing that he probably subconsciously thinks that humans have over him is the ability to evolve.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what he says. This is the next thing, Tony. This is the next me. And that line Ultron said about how they always obsess with the surface and never thought to look within is pretty interesting. Yeah, because it's speaking directly about vibranium and as well as the stone itself. Right before he breaks the casing to the Mind Stone. Yep. And so we then see him uploading the consciousness stream. And, well, that's when Wanda is able to read Vision. Or rather, Ultron's mind, when she can finally read him, because there's the brain that's now, and the mind that is Vision, but going to be Ultron if he succeeds. And she sees the death of the world. And this is where CJ was actually talking earlier, C.S. Johnson, with the whole biblical bits, where he tells her, he's like, you said we were going to make a better world, destroy the Avengers, make a better world. It will be better. But when she says, how could you? It shows Ultron's hand curl into a fist, because he realized the pretense is no longer viable. And she's like, when everybody is dead, that is not, the human race will have every opportunity to improve. And if they don't, ask Noah. You're a madman. The Earth has had over a dozen extinction level events before even the dinosaurs got theirs. And when the Earth starts to settle, God throws a stone at it. And believe me, he's winding up. Well, Wanda also decides to drop the spell on Cho at this point. So, yeah, the twins flee. Cho gets blasted. Her staff dies because Ultron kills all the staff. And he's like, they'll understand. Pretty soon they'll understand. I just need a little bit more time. Pulls out the thing, interrupting the consciousness stream. So we get the chase through North Korea. What did you think about the whole sequence of the chase through North Korea? The fight between Cap and Ultron. And
bro, that is very dramatic. I kind of consider it to be like the climax of the movie. Like it was
semi-climax, yeah.
Yeah, semi-climax, but yeah, like it just like, or at least like the middle part, like rising and then it spikes again at the end. So yeah, it was just all around very dramatic and like intense. Like you're just like, it's just like, are they gonna catch up? Are these guys gonna catch up? It's obviously like a cat and mouse game almost in the sequence. So,
and I love that. You're no match for him, Cap. Thanks, Barton. And
he will certainly throw down, even if he's not a match. That's Captain America.
Yep. And
he
I also like
beats up Thanos.
Yeah, or tries to anyway.
Yeah, like they both go at it for a while.
Yeah, but I also like how you see that Ultron is truly worried in the scene when he sees that they're there. He's like, no, leave me alone. And he starts blasting at him and everything. And then we get Natasha on a motorbike, she trashes Cap's motorbike. It's like, you son of a bitch. But we then see the twins turn on Ultron on the train, and they have to end up stopping the train, which is very nice. But the cradle, where I love the scene with Stark, and Banner is like that unknown that was fighting Ultron. I found him, and he shows that, well, Jarvis has been Ultron didn't try to kill Jarvis because he was angry. He did so because he was scared of what he could do. And it's like, so you want me to help you put Jarvis in this thing? No, of course not. I want to help you put Jarvis into this thing. And this whole thing.
And then Banner's just like, oh my God, are you serious?
It's like, and I love how he's looking. He's like, yeah, about that. No, you gotta trust me. Kind of don't.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The banter between Stark and Banner is like top notch in this movie. I'm gonna be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty
You're absolutely right. Because it's like, we're mad scientists, buddy. Everybody's saying it. We need to own it. And he's absolutely right. Well, this is where the whole major differences between Cap and Stark start showing up. I'm only gonna say this once. How about nunts? Shut it down. Well, I love how the twins are like. It's like, I know you're angry. Oh, we're way beyond that. I could choke the life out of you and not turn a shade.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
I mean, they screwed him up, to be honest. Scarlet Witch definitely
yeah.
like.
And you see him grab her, and so she uses her magic and shoves it through her into him. And it's like, oh damn, that's gotta hurt. But then again, she'd probably be more immune to it because it's her own magic. So yeah, there's a couple ants fucking crawling around here right now. They always come in at night. But anyway, I love the slow motion of the bullet when Clint shoots the bullet up at Quicksilver. And it's like, okay, you were saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
just
I love like the slow-mo like stuff for like
looking at it like,
Quicksilver in
oh
this movie.
shit, right?
It's pretty reasonably paced.
It is. It really is. They do a nice little healthy showing the slow-mo and then the rapid movement.
Yeah. Yeah, like it's not too much. Like honestly, like with like the Flash and stuff, like I felt like they did too much with the effects, and then like it looks really wonky and weird. So
Yeah. I never watched The Flash, so I wouldn't be able to make the
I'm
comparison.
just making that assertion from like the trailers and stuff. I don't want to see it.
I don't either. To be completely honest, I just do not believe in rewarding Ezra Miller.
I
But
just
anyway.
didn't like his Flash to begin with, so I'm like, you know what? I don't want to see him as the main character of the movie.
Yeah. So then Thor wakes up Vision, and Vision, stark naked, jumps at Thor. It's like, gimme. But
There's a naked purple man assaulting me.
yeah, I know, right? So,
like, imagine calling the police. What would you say?
Yeah, right. Like, this purple metal alien thing just fucking jumped at me. I have no idea how to describe it.
Yeah.
It felt gay. But we then see him form his clothes, and then he's like, thank you, that was kind of odd. And because he sees that Thor has a cape, he's like, maybe I'll make myself have a cape too. Which is a very nice thing. And we get the whole where Thor is, let me get to Vision. There we go. And bring him back up. And Vision is basically Paul Bettany finally being able to be a physical presence in the film, where he's no longer just a voice, you know?
Paul Bettany is a man.
Yep.
And not a voice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just starting to get loopy. I'm just starting to get loopy because it's getting late. So you're getting loopy, right, Kitty, right now?
Well, she's fun, so we'll keep it going a little bit.
Yay.
But anyway, the point, or after he talks about how they need to work together, he then grabs the hammer and hands it fucking to Thor, and everybody's like, that just happened.
Oh yeah, everyone looked very surprised, and I'm like,
yeah, it's like,
wow,
because we need to go, and then he hands the and he's like,
and it's just okay, like he's been here for like 5 seconds,
and he's worthy enough because he is so pure right now. He is on the side of life, so Mjolnir has no compunction about letting him lift it. So it does kind of make sense. Am I coming through all right? Because I'm getting a low internet signal kind of thing.
You are coming in all right through on my end.
All right, good. So
you're not slowing down or breaking up on. So
good. So we get the Battle of Sokovia. Everybody's prepping. There's going to be blood on the floor. I get first crack at the big guy. Iron Man's the one he wants. And you also see that. Hold on. There we go. You also see that Elizabeth Olsen's Scarlet Witch is actually kind of interested in Vision. because she's looking at him like, I'm fascinated by this thing. You know, I saw Annihilation and now I'm seeing Purity, which is pretty interesting. She's also just totally crushing on him. But
She got turned on.
yeah, like I said, she's an automatophile. She really likes her machines.
Okay, basically she likes pink robots and blue men. that's her whole sexual preference.
Yep. And so, you also hear Captain America's his lovely little speech of how they gotta save the people of Segovia and whatnot, and whether or not Ultron is right, because saying that the Avengers are the problem with humanity. So you understand that there's definitely probably going to be somebody who's going to die. And you get the feeling that this is probably going to be somebody who's dying. Somebody in this group is going to die. We don't know who, but we do get it. And then we get the Battle of Sokovia. And I love the speech that Ultron gives when he starts lifting up the city.
I'm gonna be honest, I was totally terrified the way it was shot. It was like it's something like just tearing out of the ground. Like,
right?
Crazy. I'm like, shit's about to get real here.
Yep. And it's like, you Avengers, you're my avenging, or you are my meteor. And this is when Vision confronts Ultron and burns him out of the net. And that's why Ultron activates the turnkey of the vibranium to build the meteor. It's like, you take away my world, I take away yours. And it's like, purge me from your computers, turn my own flesh against me, it matters not. When the dust settles, everything on this world will be metal. And also, Stark has a new UI for his suits, which is Girl Friday. And it's played by a nice Irish lady. Who voices Friday in...
I do not know.
Voices... I remember her name, I just can't remember it off the top of my head.
I remember, but I don't.
Friday... in Marvel. Carrie Condon. That's her name.
Okay.
Yep, Friday. Friday appears in the first set of the film's cinematic universe, voiced by Carrie Condon. And it's actually, or right now, what does Friday stand for? Because they have it as a acronym. Does FRIDA stand for in MCU? Female female replacement.
You can.
Intelligent digital assistance youth.
That is a mouthful. So
Friday.
Yep, Friday.
There you go.
I thought I heard that name before, and I'm like, oh, she was in Better Call Saul.
Yeah, Girl Friday. Yeah. So, what did Jarvis stand for? Or what does Jarvis Friday and Edith stand for? So, Jarvis is basically Edith was even dead, I'm the hero. Edith, Friday, Jarvis. What did Jarvis stand for?
That is a good question.
Jarvis. Just a really very intelligent system. Wow. Okay, that works.
Actually, apparently this is also a baby name, and it also kind of makes sense here too, where it means servant spear, so Jarvis will be forever tied to helping the fight for good. So I'm like, that
Yep.
also makes sense.
Indeed. And so we also see Scarlett's she's terrified at this moment, and I love how it's Hawkeye that gives her the pep talk. It's like, or he's like, "Are you ready for?" Or it's not, or it's your fault. It's my fault. Who cares? Are you ready for this? Because if you're not, I'll get your brother. He can come find you. But if you step out that door, you are an Avenger. And if you fight to kill.
Oh
Because
yeah, I love that. I love that. I love that pep talk. It's just like you're
Yeah.
hyping her up. It's like you're giving her a choice in the matter. It's just
If
like
you-
you run or you step out that door. Your choice. Go ahead.
Yep. It's like you can fight, or you could stand or sit here and bitch, or you can frickin' stand and do something about what you did. But if you do step out that door, you are an Avenger. And I absolutely love that freaking line, because when she finally steps out that door, she just starts going ape shit on the freaking event, or on the freaking Ultron clone or drones. And I really do like that whole sequence, because it's like she just steps out, whoosh, it's like, oh shit.
It
Because
reminds.
Go ahead.
Oh, it reminds me of like that spinning sequence with like the Avengers and like the first Avengers movie, but this
Mhm.
time it's like more like wider shot, so it's like there's more Avengers now. They're
Yeah. Well, that shot actually is mirrored in the church, because when when they're coming for the core to the machine, we get that whole swing around where it shows all of them fighting the different event, or all the Ultron drones. And I really do like the different battles between them all and whatnot. And Banner went to rescue Nat because she was kidnapped by Ultron. And so it's like, is that the best you can do? And then you see all these gathering Ultrons. You had to ask, you know. And I really do like that whole sequence, because it does show a great level of coordination and choreography. And the guy who does the stunt double that does the swirl flip that Captain America does, which is pretty cool. And yet they're showing all the different Avengers doing pretty cool things. And then when they show Hawkeye and give him his moment, what does he do? He throws his bow. It's like, you threw your bow, but did you kill anybody? Did you kill any of the freaking Ultrons with your throwing your bow, man? No? Well, then what the fuck? But it's like, oh my gosh, it is so freaking great. And then we get the final battle where it shows Ultron actually going himself against Vision, and Vision starts blasting him, then Thor starts blasting him, and Iron Man starts blasting him, which actually starts melting his face, which is pretty nice. You know, and the benefit of hindsight, boom! That's when they all start running. Also, S.H.I.E.L.D. comes up, which is pretty nice.
Oh yeah, that also it's like kind of like a callback to like the beginning of the movie with like the initial husk of Ultron, like the face melting off, and then yeah.
And also, S.H.I.E.L.D. has come back with Nick Fury and the helicarrier, and it's like, Fury, you son of a bitch. Oh, you kiss your mother with that mouth? They're all just mocking the hell out of Steve mercilessly, and I love it.
Oh yeah, it's just like he says that one time. It's like, you guys are never gonna let that.
Nope, we're not gonna let it go. And so we see all the drones go running, and it's like, we gotta stop, or we can't let a single one escape, not even one. So War Machine is also there helping them out, and it's like, yeah, War Machine coming at you, and then you see freaking Vision just start slaughtering them, and it's like, okay, what?
It's just like, I need to be updated.
Yeah, like totally. It's like, dude, you're outmoded.
Recap the movie to me.
So then we see they finally get all the civilians off of the rock, except for one because this boy is still in the market, and that's when Widow's about to do a lullaby for Hulk, except that Ultron took the Quinjet and starts shooting wildly. And you think that Hawkeye is about to bite it. Well, that's when Quicksilver acts, and you see him very holy in the next second, bloodshot or bloodied up from all the bullets.
Yeah.
Didn't see that coming. And I love how they cut to Wanda when you see the speed up or the speed movement to move Clint and the kid out of the way. You then see Wanda just react. Let me get us up. You see her go like because that's the wonderful thing about twins, folks. They know. They can feel somehow their twin and their twin's anguish. So it's like, oh shit. So when she screams out and just atomizes every Ultron drone around her, it's like, yikes. That is basically a prelude of what happens in WandaVision and what basically causes her to flip the fuck out.
Yeah. I've seen like a lot of studies done on twins. I remember in like daycare, like it was like for like 5 to like 13. I was an older kid. It was like identical twins or whatever. I think they were 7. Pretty annoying because they were just like it's like one of those twins that looks like no I'm her. It's just like they freaking piss off the counselors. I remember like one day like one of the twins like were walking like dodgeball or something, and then she like suddenly just stops and then she runs back the other direction, and then she goes back to like the main room. We're all in like the daycare room, and she's like, oh no, it's like Natalie, like I think that was the other twin's name. It's like it's like Natalie, and then Natalie's just sitting there on the floor crying because she banged her head against a door. So it's like she just turned her head around, pop, pop, pop.
Yep.
So it's like it's just like that's like one of those interesting things about humanity.
Because they somehow know. It's like you pinch one, the other one starts crying. It's quite an interesting dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And so we then, or they're creating a heat seal, which is to keep the energy doubling back to vaporize the rock. Well, what's her name's pissed off, so she goes and finds Ultron after the Hulk gets Natasha on the helicarrier and then goes after the freaking Quinjet. Oh, for God's sake. I just love it. Oh, for God's sake. Then he gets thrown out of the freaking Quinjet and into a freaking train car. And that's when what's-her-name comes up and he's like, Wanda, if you stay here, you'll die. I already did. Do you know how it felt? And her eyes start glowing and then she just rips his freaking core out. It felt that. And that is just purely a dark move, man.
Yeah. Oh, Wanda.
Unfortunately, one more half of a body is in the church, and he activates that one to turn the key, which causes the asteroid to start falling. And everybody else, or Thor is in the church, charging up with Mjolnir, as Iron Man's heating the core with his arc, and that's when they blast the thing, and it's like, oh shit. And also Vision comes in to save Wanda. So crisis averted. However, there is one Ultron drone left. Now, for those of you who don't know, because we didn't cover it, there's one where it was telling Captain America after they saved a couple people who fell off the cars. It's like, you can't save them. You'll never be. And that's when Cap throws the shield at one of them and uses his magnetic clasps to call the shield over to him. That one that fell is the one that is Ultron when he crawls out of the crater and Vision's waiting for him.
Oh, I like that. I like that. It's like when Vision, like before he blasts him, it's like, I was born yesterday.
And he's like, well, I was born yesterday. And he tells him, he's like, you're afraid of death. You're the last one. You were supposed to be the last. And it's like Stark asked for a savior and settled for a slave. And you see how, I love that. Ultron basically tells Vision, when Vision tells Ultron, you missed the idea that there is grace in their failings and whatnot. He's like, you are unbearably naive. Well, I was born yesterday. And I love how when they show Ultron attack him, you don't see what happens. They cut to a distance. You do not see what happens to that last Ultron drone. You get the idea, is it dead or was it absorbed? It does make one wonder, because then we also never see Vision ever again try to hold Thor's hammer. I wonder if he'd be able to.
Too polite, maybe.
Yeah, but I
like the idea. It's just he's way too polite. He's like, yeah, I did it once. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, he also smacks Ultron out of or away from Thor with the hammer, because Ultron went after Thor and he's like, I am running out of things to say. Are you ready? Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. It's terribly well balanced. Well, if there's too much weight, you lose power on the swing. So it really is. Or I love the whole thing between Mjolnir and Vision, because you see Avengers headquarters up in upstate New York, where I live, folks. However, unfortunately, it's not that upstate, sadly. Would be cool if it was. But you see the debate is like, we're dealing with something new here, something that's never been done. And so they're discussing Vision with the rules of Mjolnir and whatnot. It's like, he lifted the hammer, he can keep the Mind Stone. It's safe with the Vision. Mm-hmm. And they're discussing, it's like, well, I'm going to miss these little chats of ours. Now, if you don't leave, I have no choice. The Mind Stone is the fourth Infinity Stone to have been discovered. That's not a coincidence. Somebody's been playing an intricate game and making pawns out of all of us. So, yeah, I'm going to have to go and find out what's going on. And we get Steve leading the new Avengers. Banner decided to take the Quinjet and fly out into space, turning off Natasha when she's like, you got to turn the boat around. Come on. So help us out. It's like, bye, girl. Hulk don't want to smash anymore.
Mental breakdown.
Yeah. He said until
Hulk's mental breakdown is running away, so.
Yep. Hulk doesn't want to smash anymore, and he also doesn't want to smash Natasha anymore. Anyway. So they think the Quinjet is in Fiji, but turns out to be nothing. And we then see them go out into the next thing. Now, there was a tease originally cut of Captain Marvel as part of the new Avengers. However, they cut her out. So it's just Falcon, War Machine, Scarlet Witch, and Vision, who are the new Avengers.
It's fine, because there was literally no setup for her in that movie, so it's like...
Yeah, they didn't set her up at all. Yeah. So we then get the credits, and then we have the Infinity Gauntlet coming up into a vault, and Thanos just walking in, fine, I'll do it myself.
That was a super awesome scene. It's just like, yeah, I'm flexing now. Let's go.
It's like, fine, fuck it. I'm not getting any freaking younger, and these Infinity Stones keep getting out of my grasp. So fuck it, I'll
I
do it
relied
myself.
on hormonal brats
Yep.
for far too long. No.
So, what did you think of Age of Ultron?
Oh, this was an honestly, like I really love this movie. I know it gets a lot of crap. I feel like it's probably one of the most overrated MCU movies. Because like I think it was mostly, from what I've heard, it's mostly due to Ultron. But yeah, I'm like I like this Ultron a lot too.
I do.
Like I like this Ultron a lot. You know, him being a little bit snarky, like a bit of like a god complex, like hating his creator but wanting to be like him so much. So yeah, you went, and honestly, like, okay, and my one problem is, because I knew what the X-Men was, it's just like, Quicksilver got killed, and then, we never got like the three sibling dynamic of Polaris, Quicksilver, and Scarlet Witch. But you know what? Other than that, this is like their own universe, right? I think Elizabeth Olsen was great. I think also, who's the guy who played Quicksilver again?
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Aaron Taylor Johnson. I thought he was good too. He had like a certain amount of snark that I feel like is really essential for Quicksilver as a character. So yeah, and this definitely like skyrocketed Elizabeth Olsen. Like it's be like, oh yeah, there's like another Olsen sibling somewhere. So like really put her name out there.
There was there was, sorry to interrupt, but there's also there's a deleted, or not a deleted, but a blooper where Quicksilver survived getting shot, and when they're back on the lifeboats, you see Hawkeye put his hand over Quicksilver's mouth to suffocate it, to snuff him out.
Oh my god, really?
Because there was that scene earlier during the fight on Sokovia where he's like, "Keep up, old man. Nobody would know. Nobody."
That's hilarious. But yeah, so you know what? I give this movie probably, I'm gonna say, 9 out of 10. Let's go. I'll fight with that. Maybe Ultron could have come back as like a future antagonist. Probably didn't need to kill him off, but you know what? I'm good with this. It's 9 out of 10 for me. Very enjoyable from start to finish. Has a lot of setup, payoff, foreshadowing for future installments. Deeper character for Hawkeye and Black Widow. So like it does a lot for me. So
it really does. And for me, objectively, I would say this movie is about 7.5. There are problems with it, unfinished effects, or some rather terrible effects. You also get some cheesy writing here and there that doesn't really fit this or fit certain scenes. Plus a couple of acting issues. However, for the most part, the film is solid. Subjectively, I would put the film at about a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Moviegoer, it's a 10 out of 10, where if you're just watching it, it keeps your ass in your seat pretty much through the whole thing. So that will be the review. So yeah, folks, just remember, if they hurt you, hurt them back, and if you get killed, walk it off.
There's no strings on me.
Yep. So next week we will be doing Ant-Man, which I have the thumbnail created. Now let me just pull it up. MCU Ant-Man, there it is. And let me share. And I did the same with the color scheme. I'm trying to, or this is only the mock-up right now, folks. I'm trying to get my friend who does additional stuff to do, or to put a few ants on the sides.
Ants.
There we go.
Are you going to have them like falling down on the screen, or?
I'm going to have them, well, here, let's extend this a bit.
Or like on the letters, I guess. I don't know.
I'm going to have them or the ants on this side and this side, and probably up here a little bit here and there.
Okay.
But yeah,
I like the font choice down there for Ant-Man. That's pretty cool. Like
definitely.
really like 70s, 80s like pop. Kind of like
Yep.
the pop comic art.
And I use the yellow because Yellow Jacket in the background. The red and the black are Ant-Man's suit color.
You can also say like the Wasp too.
Yep.
So yeah.
She'll be coming in the next one, or in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But yeah, anyway, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Skyhound28, CJ, who couldn't be here, Christian Freights, Jet Sparks, NB Geeks. NB, you did ask if you wanted to come on. Sorry for tonight. Or if you want to be on a future one, let me know and I'll definitely have you on. Who else? Vanya, thank you so much for tuning in. Vanya is great people, folks. He's one of my loyal followers, as is many of, or Christian and others. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Right, Kitty, do you have anything you want to plug before we get going?
I did put out a video last Friday about going over like Twitch's and YouTube's big updates. So if you check that out, that'd be awesome. So yeah, I got a YouTube channel, Right Kitty. So I'm gonna be trying to get out some stuff, like some big projects out. And you can also find me on Twitter at RiotKitty1 if you want to see me shoot the shot, really, with anything that comes to mind with me. So thanks for watching Orange Chat's channel, and sub if you haven't subbed already to him. So, and have a good night, everybody.
Yep, and make sure you sub to Riot Kitty, folks. She's definitely worth following. So for me, I have the Barroom Podcast and my mystery review on Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon is the mystery review, which the hints I gave are Long Game of Vengeance, Jealousy, Island Treasure, and Jacopo.
Long game. I can make a joke about that, but
as for Tuesday night, I will be modding on OMB Reviews channel for his Tuesday podcast. And then after that, I will be at 9 p.m. I'll be on the Barroom Podcast on Society Reviews channel. Sundays are the Infinity Saga Sundays. I'm trying to get out as content as I can because my hours are still steadily declining, even with the lower requirements for the partial monetization.
What hours are you at?
29:17 or 29:12. Probably going to be
really
lower
close.
by tomorrow.
Yeah, boost Orange Hat up. He deserves it.
Yep.
Boost.
Trying to get into back up to above 3,000 so I can be monetized. Also, what else do I got? I also am planning in July to do singles with Jade Shadow because Wednesdays during a few weeks we do the 1s and 2s on her channel. July is Jaws, where we're going to be discussing Jaws 1 and 2. And we're going to be doing singles that month on Thursdays at 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m., where we're going to be discussing the first movie is Big Trouble in Little China. The second one that's planned is Highlander, the 85 one, but it is subject to change. We're ironing out details for that. So definitely give Jade Shadow a sub. Also subscribe to her Kick. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Y'all know the drill. If you're catching this on the replay, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you think of Age of Ultron? Did you like it? Did you not? Anyway, folks, thank you so much to the chat and to the panelists, CJ, Johnson, and Riot Kitty. Y'all have a wonderful night. And always remember, stay humble.